So I'd like to invite you to imagine for a second. It's 2004, I'm not even 20 yet, and all of my life, I've only had access to the top 40s, Blockbuster, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Jackie Chan movies. There's literally no instances where you see an Asian man in cinema except for that one film with Jet Li and Alaya, and they had a hug because they tested with white people and they felt it was too weird. So unless you find some underground weird VCDs, you never see as a kid any positive portrayals of an Asian man. And as a kid who's living on a very white part of Australia, which is all of Australia,
a recent survey revealed that 30% of Australians are casual racists, which means that the other 70% are full-time.
You're wanting to see yourself interacting with people romantically, socially, and there's literally no movies out there that represent you. I talked about Japanese Story on the last episode, which is, at best. Then you come across this movie, The Lover. This film for me hasn't really aged well. The script was written by Marguerite Duras, who was born in the then French colony of the then colonized colony called French Indochine, also now known as Vietnam. I wanted to share with you films of Asian men in diaspora, where this was one of the second films that I saw after the Japanese Story to see myself represented on screen from the eyes of a French white girl in the film known strictly as The Young Girl, falls in love with this older rich man dressed in all white suits. As a young Asian boy growing up in diaspora in a white society and desexualized, it was exhilarating to be objectified, something that is usually a typical experience of racialized Asian women in diaspora. However, for the Asian men in diaspora, this is just non-existent. And perhaps the times are changing. The film feels for me today overly nostalgic and sentimental. It's almost like an Asian diaspora version of Titanic. The Chinese man is overly simplified, understood mostly for his status and wealth, placed into the dichotomy of this guru/devil complex, which is the Asian man's experience of the Madonna whore complex. This serves only the flip side of the coin of the yellow peril in many cases, where the Chinese man plays the sexy villain for the pure function of the sexual tension of the white young girl. But today, the film functions pretty alright if you're just looking for some Instagram film meme. But maybe this is the first step away from desexualization, defetishization, and who am I to complain? It's better than these other shitty examples. But probably it'll just go into the usual pattern as it first happened in the early 20th century, like Hayakawa, only then to drive the desire in white women and fear amongst the white men, which will eventually result back to the demonization of Asian men in diaspora again. Okay, so you might have heard of the Bechdel test or the Mokimori test. Well, I present you the Ayoto test. So, The Lover. Does the Asian man in this movie have his own name? Is he non-colonized? No. He's referred to as the Chinese man. Is he a sexual person? Yes. One of the first sexualized Asian men with a non-Asian woman that I've ever seen on film. Is it portrayed on the screen? Yes, not just implied. Some hot sex scenes here. And lots of Asian men, but they avoid stereotyping. Was he kung fu guru guy or manservant or some rich dude? No, he did not avoid stereotyping. So I give it a good solid D.